All right, gang, it's sexy. But I hate to say it, but because I've been having so much fun with this, but I got some other Gettysburg adventures that I need to get to, and this has been up for what, close to a month, maybe a little over a month. But like I said, I've been having fun with this. So right now you're looking at the about 1700 on July 1st. These are the final positions. In 15 minutes, if he accepts, Ewell is going to receive his orders from Lee to attack through here, and with Rhodes coming in right behind early. And 15 minutes after that, Pender's going to get his orders along with hopefully Anderson. Of course, there'll be some time before they get him. And then Pender's going to sweep up there. There's about 20 turns left, I guess, before nightfall. I think something like that, or 18 something. So they should literally wipe them because the Union's not going to see anything massive force-wise for quite a while. But what I did was I made a couple notes about the game. Just some things that concerned me about it. There's really only three of them. It's not really that bad. The game is, if you want to play a monster game with a little bit of ease of play and some good fog of war, this is a good one for Gettysburg. You're going to get that monster feel, the crunch, but you're going to get a smoother or a faster play, let's say. So I've been trying to get my 3-dog caught up to this, but the 3-dog takes a lot more to, there's no way you can keep pace of play between that and this. Just not going to happen. So this is one step lesser in complexity, we'll say. But this is a fun system. I've got all of them. I got the Wilderness on pre-order. And as soon as it gets here, I want to break it out and get a good look at it and try to get that, on the table as fast as I can. But like I said, I've got some other Gettysburg endeavors. So let's talk about a couple things. And like I said, these are just my opinion. Feedback's fine. If you want to throw it at me, if you have a point of contention against what I say, that's fine. Help me out because maybe I'm missing something. But the first thing was initiative. And this is what I wrote this down like 3 weeks ago. I don't like the limit on the permissible orders. There are numerous cases during the war where a commander at all levels made a hasty decision to charge or to change what his formation was doing in order to execute something else that he thought was better. Prime example, Sickles, all right? Chamberlain charging down the hill. The Vermont regiments during Pickett's charge. Actually, I don't know if they were the ones that were actually given orders to step out there and do that and sacrifice themselves. I can't remember. I understand that the current system is probably there to help the control of the battle, and a lot of the leaders stuck to their orders. It was one of that honor and integrity and code stuff, Maybe on an initiative roll, the leader has to roll twice to make it tougher, something like that, so that a leader could actually, like a brigade leader that sees something happening and he's got nothing in his front and he sees the opportunity to not allow a sister unit to his left to get destroyed by overwhelming odds when he could respond and do something about it, okay? Maybe that's eliminated just to help speed the pace of play in this game, but I always felt that could be something additional to the rules. Whether everybody going to listen to me about that or not, I'm sure they won't. The system's been around for quite a while. Charge. No possibility for a charging unit to be thrown back before they mix it up, even with an open volley, because you don't even roll for morale. You roll for leader death, but once if a unit successfully charges, he's past it. There's no morale change. Okay, so maybe to me what that represents is the momentum is already there. They're already on the move, and they're probably going to drive into the enemy regardless. And maybe not. A good massive volley from who they're charging might just drive them off before they even get that going. Okay? It's fine. Livable with that. I just kind of felt that could have been an option. The skedaddle rule. So I didn't struggle with the orders for skedaddle or the rules for skedaddle as far as understanding them and how they work. That was simple enough. A formation that has a headquarters can be skedaddled by being struck or overrun by an enemy unit, or if the commanding officer feels that the function that they are conducting, like if it's an attack, is futile, they're not going to gain any ground, so you drop a skedaddle on there. If you're not going to write orders, you want them to run away quick. What I didn't like about it was I'm using the 11th Corps as a prime example. So the 11th Corps is now back here. Two of the divisions were up there in front of Gettysburg, but the 3rd Division was on Cemetery Hill and not getting touched. And I read the rule. I'm telling you, I've read this rule 30, 40 times. Now, I didn't do it because it didn't make sense to me, but I decided to skedaddle the 11th Corps out in front of Gettysburg and dropped Howard back in behind Cemetery Hill for the 1st and 3rd Divisions to skedaddle back to. Well, the rule says it's the entire formation has to go into column. Well, it didn't make sense to me that the 2nd Division, who had not been engaged, was still fresh, was sitting in positions up here on Cemetery Hill, why they should have to flip to column or even potentially skedaddle away, which they would have been there in range, so they wouldn't have had to. And as you notice right now that a lot of the 12th Corps units, they're still in column because Howard has not passed initiative yet to stop and flip those units back over to their deployed side. So I had an issue that. Also, I didn't understand was why can't a division or a brigade skedaddle on their own? Because I'll bet you there were numerous cases of that too, where a brigade out of 4 brigades in a division just got chased off the field, but the other 3 brigades held their ground. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something could be house rule for that. But then you would have had to have a marker to mark that leader for a skedaddled location because there's no headquarters to flip over to say skedaddled. So it struck me odd that if Heath, who got beat up, if Pender had joined in the attack right away, and Heath or I get it if the Corps headquarters gets run over that you're going to skedaddle them away. But Heath's attack was just senseless getting casualties when he should have been able to pull out. And I think I did actually skedaddle him, and that's when I started digging deep into the rules about, well, you know what, I couldn't do that. I would have had to given him orders to move out of there. And of course, Hill couldn't give any orders till Lee actually arrived to issue an order to him. So I didn't understand that why they couldn't skedaddle on their own, because now if you claim the skedaddle, you had to do it for Hill, the 3rd Corps commander, not Heath, and that would have meant Pender, who had not even been engaged yet, was just sitting still back by Hare Ridge. He'd have been in that state and not been able to execute any attack or anything. So kind of struggled with that. But that's really all I had with the game that was just kind of driving me a little bit up the wall about that. But okay, hey, like I say, these rules were made to play a monster game with a little faster pace, slightly simplified. Okay, still a blast. This is well worth putting on the table and playing. There's scenarios you can play. And I think they have the full 3-day fight where you can play it in a smaller map portion. I chose to put all 4 down because the maps do look very nice. But yeah, so we're gonna kill it at 1700. I want to get AMFS on this table because the boys are playing it, and I want to reprime myself because I know Rocket Chickamauga is just going to be showing up here around the corner, and I also want to get after Gettysburg 77. So I'm not done with Gettysburg yet. I got about 4 in the back of my head that I still want to play. I'm still playing 3 Dog on Vassal. I did some highlights of that last week while the guys were playing AMFS while they took a break, and I'll probably shoot some video. Hopefully I'll shoot some video on that this weekend and talk over what's going on. I think they're like an hour. Well, now they're 2 hours behind. Yeah, I'm in the 1500 turn on 3 Dog. Where you see these guys now, they were almost to these positions by 3 o'clock, 3:30, and that at 3:20 or 3:30, whatever. That's not happening in 3 Dog. However, the influence of early coming on the map on the right side of the 11th Corps is now going to change the face of that fight, because 2nd Division, Robinson's division of 1st Corps, just got smacked hard on the last turn of 3 Dog I was playing, and he's having to pull off of Oak Hill. 2nd Division, this game never even got to Oak Hill or Oak Ridge, never even got there. Matter of fact, they were part of the attack with Doubleday on Seminary Ridge to try to take back Seminary Ridge, which they did. They took their objective, but then once Pender got activated and Rhodes was moving and Early was moving, there was no way they were going to stay. So Doubleday was able to do an early withdrawal back towards Cemetery Ridge. So, but yeah, that's how that's going. So we're going to box this up. We're going to move on to some more Gettysburg stuff and get that stuff posted just as soon as I get the game underway. I know the boys are playing live tonight. AMFS will probably be streaming it on our channels. So if you want to pop in and take a look at that. Line of battle, last chance for victory. Hard to come by. You can find him out there, but you're probably going to pay 3 bills for it. maybe sometimes a little bit above 2 if the game's used or not. But it's well worth having. And like I say, I can't wait to see their Wilderness game and what they've done with that. Because since I've play tested the Wilderness game for GBACW, which is going to be just a blast. Talk about confusion. You're going to get it in that game right there. And it's on pre-order. So, and Three Dog, the new deluxe edition, is on pre-order. And from what I understand, might see it before this year's over. All right. It's Hexy. If you like this thing, hey, give me a little thumbs up on the thing. If you're not subscribe. That always helps out. You hear everybody say that. But I think if I come back to this one, which I know I will, it's probably something you should play in the wintertime. I mean, I can leave stuff set up forever, but I've only got one big table to use, and I need to use it for this other stuff. This might be a Vassal thing because it's going to start getting tight in here for counters, and that's kind of hard, even with tweezers, to keep that stuff straight all the time. Vassal's just probably a lot easier, so I may give it another run when I do it next time on Vassal. All right, putting this up. We'll talk to y'all soon.